When you finally stop caring, when you let go of the need to constantly prove yourself, something powerful happens. The entire energy dynamic between you and him shifts. People feel energy more than words, more than promises, more than explanations. You can say one thing, but the energy you carry underneath will always speak louder. And if your energy has been screaming, I need you, I can't lose you, I can't breathe without you, then of course he's going to respond with distance. Because what you're projecting is not love. It's attachment, it's fear, it's dependency. And dependency never attracts, it repels. Now, the moment you stop pouring all of your attention into him, something changes in his mind. At first, he may not even consciously notice it, but subconsciously, he feels the difference. He feels that the emotional cord that kept him safe and secure, knowing you'd always be there no matter what, has loosened. And that's when curiosity is born. That's when the questions start. Why isn't she calling like before? Why doesn't she chase anymore? Did she stop caring? Did I lose her attention? Did I lose her? This shift is not about playing games. Let's be clear. I'm not telling you to fake detachment. I'm talking about a genuine decision to withdraw the energy that was once rooted in fear and redirect it back into yourself. It's about self-respect. It's about choosing your peace over your panic, your dignity over your desperation. And the moment you do this, you reclaim your power. You see, relationships, whether romantic, business, or social, are governed by energy exchanges. Think of it like a seesaw. When one person is pushing all the weight, the other naturally rises above and relaxes into the comfort of being lifted. But when that energy evens out, when the weight is balanced, suddenly both parties are required to show up. That's exactly what happens when you stop caring. You stop carrying all the weight for him. And now he feels the emptiness where your energy used to be. He has to lean in or else the balance tips and he risks losing you. Psychologists often talk about the principle of reactance. Reactance means that whenever human beings feel they're losing a freedom, they fight to get it back. In relationships, when he senses your love and attention are infinite, there's no urgency, he doesn't have to fight for it. But the instant you remove that energy, his sense of freedom is challenged. He realizes, wait, a second to she's not walk away, she doesn't need me. And that realization triggers a powerful response in his brain. He starts valuing what he once overlooked. Now, here's the deeper layer. When you stop caring, you're not only changing how he perceives you, you're also changing how you perceive yourself. You're no longer the person running in circles, chasing approval, draining yourself dry for scraps of affection. You're someone standing tall, centered, and self-validated. And that energy, my friends, is magnetic. People are drawn to those who radiate wholeness. They can feel when you're rooted in your own worth. Let's take it even further. Philosophers for centuries have reminded us that attachment is the root of suffering. When you cling, when you grip too tightly, you create resistance. But when you release, you create space. And in that space, possibility is born. When you stop caring, you're not closing the door, you're opening one. You're creating the possibility for him to step forward, for him to actually see you, value you, and meet you at the level you deserve. And I'll tell you this, most of the time he will, because human nature craves what it fears it might lose. Men especially are wired to pursue, to seek, to conquer. And when you stop handing yourself over on a silver platter, when you take a step back into your own power, you ignite that primal instinct in him to move toward you again. It's not manipulation. It's alignment. It's how psychology, biology, and energy naturally work together. So understand this, the power is never in chasing, never in proving, never in begging. The power is in pulling your energy back, centering yourself, and allowing him to feel the difference. Because when he feels that shift, his mind cannot ignore it. He may not say it out loud, but internally he will start to recalibrate, to rethink, to reconsider everything he thought he knew about you. And that's the moment when the balance of power begins to change. You want him to value you. Stop overvaluing him. You want him to step up. Stop stepping in for him. You want him to realize your worth. Start realizing it yourself. The truth is simple. The less you care from a place of fear, the more he begins to care from a place of desire. And I'll leave you with this. If you keep giving away your power, you'll always feel empty. But the moment you stop caring and start owning your worth, not only does mind change, your entire life changes. Human beings are wired to desire what feels scarce. It's not just a theory. It's a psychological law that governs almost everything we do. Think about it. When something is abundant, always available, always in front of you, your brain doesn't assign it much value. But when something is limited, when it could be lost or taken away, suddenly your attention sharpens. Suddenly it matters. Scarcity creates value. Scarcity creates urgency. Scarcity creates desire. Now let's apply this to relationships. If you've been endlessly available, answering every call, replying instantly, bending over backward just to keep his interest, you've made yourself abundant. And in his mind, abundant equals ordinary. That's not because you're ordinary. You are not. It's because the human brain takes for granted whatever it feels is guaranteed. And when he feels your presence is guaranteed, when he believes you'll always be there no matter what, he doesn't feel the need to treasure it. He relaxes, he pulls away, he assumes he has all the time in the world. But here's where it gets powerful the moment you stop caring. The moment you step back and no longer make yourself endlessly available, you introduce scarcity into the dynamic. Suddenly your time, your energy, your attention, it's not guaranteed anymore. He can't just assume it's his by default. And that shift triggers something primal in his psychology. He starts to feel the possibility of loss. And with that possibility comes urgency. Scarcity has driven human behavior for thousands of years. Think about ancient times. Resources were scarce, food was scarce, opportunities for survival were scarce. When something was rare, people valued it, fought for it, protected it. Fast forward to today, and the principle hasn't changed. Why do people chase luxury brands? Not because a handbag or a car is inherently life-changing, but because the company has mastered the art of scarcity. Limited editions, exclusive drops, only a few available. And the second people hear that something is limited, it becomes more desirable. This exact psychology is at play in relationships. When your love, your attention, your presence is unlimited, it loses its perceived value. But when you pull back, not as a strategy, but as a genuine act of reclaiming your worth, you instantly raise the value of what you bring to the table. He starts to realize, wait a second, she's not on call anymore. She's not pouring everything into me like before. That energy I thought I'd always have, maybe I could lose it. And in that moment, his perception of you shifts. Here's something to reflect on. Most men don't wake up one day and consciously decide to devalue a woman's love. It's not usually malicious. It's psychological conditioning. We all adapt to abundance. We all start to normalize what feels constant. It's why people who live by the ocean sometimes stop noticing the beauty of the waves, while a tourist visiting for the first time can't stop staring. Abundance dulls perception, scarcity sharpens it. So when you stop caring, you're reintroducing the sharpness. You're reawakening his awareness. You're forcing his mind to reevaluate what he's been overlooking. Suddenly, the things he used to ignore, your smile, your kindness, your energy, become more noticeable, more valuable, more rare. Why? Because they're no longer guaranteed. Now, some of you might think, but isn't that manipulative? Am I just playing games by stepping back? No, not if it's authentic. Not if it comes from a place of truth. There's a huge difference between pretending to not care and genuinely deciding to stop over-giving where it's not appreciated. The first is a tactic. The second is a transformation. And it's the second that shifts the energy in a way that's real and sustainable. The truth is, scarcity works not because you're tricking him, but because you're reminding him of reality. You are not infinite. Your time, your love, your energy, these are not bottomless wells. They are precious resources. And when he realizes that, when he feels that scarcity, his mind changes. He begins to respect what he once took for granted. He begins to value what he once overlooked. And here's where the philosophy comes in. Every great teacher, from Stoics to spiritual leaders, has emphasized that human beings fail to appreciate what they have until it's gone, or until they fear losing it. Detachment, stepping back, not over-caring, is what reintroduces that awareness. By stopping the constant flow of energy toward him, you allow him to experience what life feels like without it. And that contrast is the teacher. That contrast is what wakes him up. So let me leave you with this. Love is abundant within you, but it should feel scarce to anyone who doesn't treat it with reverence. Don't flood someone with endless energy and expect them to cherish it. Instead, let them feel the preciousness of what you bring. Because when something is scarce, it becomes priceless. Confidence is magnetic. You've seen it. When someone walks into a room fully grounded in who they are, without the need to prove anything, you can't help but notice them. That's emotional independence. It's not arrogance. It's not indifference. It's a deep sense of self that says, I am whole on my own. I can share my life with you, but I don't need you to complete me. And that energy, whether in love, business, or friendship, is irresistibly attractive. Now, let's be honest. Most relationships lose balance because one person starts to overinvest. Maybe it's you pouring your entire identity to the other person, making their mood, their validation, their approval the center of your existence. You stop focusing on your own growth, your own joy, your own passions. And slowly, without even realizing it, You trade your independence for attachment. The problem with this dynamic is simple. When someone feels like your entire world revolves around them, they stop feeling inspired by you. They stop being drawn to you. Instead, they feel the weight of responsibility for your happiness, and that weight doesn't attract, it repels. But here's the truth: emotional independence is not about caring less. It's about caring differently. It's about shifting from dependency to wholeness. When you are emotionally independent, you don't collapse when someone pulls away. You don't lose your identity when they're distant. You don't beg, chase, or compromise your dignity just to hold on to a connection. Instead, you remain rooted in yourself, in your values, in your vision for life. And that rootedness is magnetic because it communicates strength. Men, in particular, are instinctively drawn to women who embody this kind of strength. Not strength in the sense of hardness, but strength in the sense of groundedness. A woman who knows who she is, who invests in her own dreams, who creates joy outside of the relationship. She radiates a kind of energy that awakens pursuit. Because here's the paradox: of the less you need him, the more he desires you. Not because you're withholding love, but because you're living from a place of fullness rather than lack. Think of it this way: if you're starving, you'll take whatever scraps of food someone offers you. But when you're already nourished, you only entertain what meets your standards. That's what emotional independence does in relationships. It keeps you nourished from within, so you're never at the mercy of what someone else decides to give or withhold. And when he senses that, when he feels that you're not surviving on his affection, he begins to respect you more deeply. He sees you as a partner, not a dependent. Philosophically, this ties back to one of the greatest truths: love should be a sharing, not a surrendering. The ancient Stoics taught that your peace should never rest in someone else's hands. Because if it does, you'll always live in fear of losing it. Emotional independence means you've reclaimed your peace. You carry it with you. And when you show up in a relationship with that kind of inner strength, you give the other person the freedom to love you, not from obligation, but from genuine desire. Now, here's where the shift really happens. When you stop orbiting around him and start orbiting around your own center, he feels it. At first, it might confuse him. He might think, why isn't she checking in as much? Why isn't she reacting to every little thing I do? But beneath that confusion lies attraction, because men are wired to pursue what they feel they can't fully possess. And when you're emotionally independent, you're never fully possessed. You're partnered, but you're free. That freedom is intoxicating. It keeps the spark alive. This isn't about playing hard to get. Playing hard to get is a game rooted in fear. Emotional independence is a lifestyle rooted in truth. It says, I am responsible for my own happiness. I will share my love with you, but I will not abandon myself for you. That boundary, that inner strength, is exactly what makes a man step up. Because when he sees that you won't crumble without him, he realizes he has to bring his best to keep your attention. So understand this: the most powerful thing you can do in a relationship is to live fully, to love fully, but never to lose yourself in the process. Because when you stay emotionally independent, you give him the gift of mystery, the gift of challenge, the gift of respect. And most importantly, you give yourself the gift of freedom. Because at the end of the day, love should amplify your life, not become your life. It should elevate you, not erase you. And when you embody that truth, when you stand in emotional independence, you don't just attract him back into alignment. You attract everything in your life that's meant for someone who knows their own worth. So let me leave you with this. If you want to ignite attraction, don't chase love. Become whole. Because when you are whole, love doesn't complete you. It celebrates you. In the beginning of almost every relationship, there's an unspoken balance of power. And often without realizing it, we tip that balance by caring too much, too fast, too intensely. When one person is the pursuer, the fixer, the constant giver, the other unconsciously steps into the role of the one in control. It's not always malicious. It's human nature. If you're always showing up first, always investing more, always bending to keep the connection alive, he learns, consciously or not, that he doesn't need to do much. You'll close the carry the weight. You'll close up, you'll ensure the bond survives. That dynamic, over time, creates imbalance. He relaxes into certainty while you live in anxiety. He assumes your love will always be there no matter what. And you, in trying to hold on tighter, unknowingly give away your leverage. But something profound happens when you stop caring. When you step back, when no longer scramble to keep his attention, when you redirect your focus inward, the entire power dynamic begins to shift. Here's why. Control in relationships isn't about who talks louder or who makes more demands. It's about who holds the emotional leverage. If your happiness rises and falls entirely on his attention, he holds the leverage. But when you stop caring from a place of fear, when you reclaim your emotional independence, you take back that leverage. Suddenly, he's the one feeling uncertain. He's the one asking questions. He's the one wondering, did I lose her? Why isn't she reacting? Why doesn't she need me the way she used to? This reversal is not manipulation. It's alignment, because true power in relationships comes from balance, not from dominance. When you stop overgiving, you force the balance to reset. You make space for him to step forward, to contribute, to invest, to match the energy you once gave away freely. And this is where respect is born. Let's go deeper. On a psychological level, people crave what they can't fully control. The moment someone feels they have total control over you, they stop valuing you. Why? Because certainty kills desire. When everything is predictable, the mind disengages. But when uncertainty enters the picture, when there's just enough unpredictability to make someone lean in, curiosity and attraction return. That's exactly what happens when you stop caring. You reintroduce uncertainty. You break the cycle of predictability. He can no longer predict your every move because you're no longer moving out of desperation. You're moving from choice. Philosophically, this ties back to one of the greatest truths about human relationships. Love cannot thrive where fear is in control. When you cared too much, fear was running the show. Fear of losing him, fear of being alone, fear of not being enough. But when you release that fear, when you stop caring in that way, love regains its freedom. Suddenly, he's not loving you because you beg for it. He's loving you because he chooses to. And that choice is infinitely more powerful. This is where the dynamic truly flips. The man who once felt certain now feels uncertain. The man who once pulled away now starts leaning in. Not because you forced him, not because you manipulated him, but because the natural order of attraction has been restored. When he realizes you are not bound to him, when he sees that you are whole with or without him, his respect for you deepens. And respect is the foundation of lasting love. Without respect, love cannot survive. Here's the beauty of it. Once the control dynamic reverses, you're no longer stuck in the cycle of chasing and waiting. You're standing in your power. And from that place, you no longer settle for breadcrumbs. You no longer tolerate being half loved. You no longer compromise your worth just to feel chosen. Instead, you demand alignment. You attract reciprocity. You receive the kind of love that matches the energy you've been giving all along. And I want you to hear this clearly. The goal isn't to dominate him or to always have the upper hand. That's not love. It's another form of control. The goal is balance. The goal is mutual respect, mutual effort, mutual desire. When you stop caring in the unhealthy sense, you break the old dynamic and give both of you a chance to build something real, something lasting. So the question you need to ask yourself is this: are you ready to stop handing away your power? Are you ready to stop giving over, chasing, over caring, and instead stand in your worth? Because when you do, his mind changes. His behavior changes, the entire relationship changes, and even more importantly, you change. I'll leave you with this: stop giving him control of your peace. The moment you reclaim it, you don't just change the relationship, you change the story of your life.